news has just come in that one of our best young pitchers has begun throwing after he is recovering from surgery just at the right time. But there's some implications with it that I have to throw in. Plus, an ace pitcher is a bit might be available for trade before opening day. Possibly, we'll talk about it and what MLB insiders think about it. What is going on, everybody? Welcome on into this new edition of Mets Digest with your host Michael DeAngelo. As you see on the screen, before I get started, we are at a little under 4K subscribers at 3.93K. I gotta ask that you guys please hit that subscribe button down below. As soon as we hit 4K subscribers, I will be doing my next big giveaway for you guys. So I will drop my Twitter as soon as we hit 4K. So please hit that subscribe button. I want to do this giveaway before opening day for you guys. So tell your friends, tell your family, tell your dog, tell whoever, tell Ronnie Mauricio that Mets Digest is your one-stop shop for everything Mets baseball. I will be pumping these videos out for you as quickly as I possibly can and get you guys up to date on everything New York Mets baseball. A little bit of a scenery change here. I came back home in California for a little bit, and I brought my gear with me so I can keep making videos for y'all. Look, 60% of these videos, 60% of you guys watching these videos aren't even subscribed. So I don't know what you guys are doing, but if you guys are just scrolling along and you keep watching these videos, just hit that subscribe button, and it can help me, do a giveaway for you guys and and give back to you guys watching these videos, as I appreciate y'all so much. Now let's get started. So recently, Christian Scott has been reported that he has begun throwing once again. And, that is big news for us, considering that we need pitching reinforcements, especially from a youth standpoint. The only young pitcher that we are literally looking forward to at this point is Brandon Sproat, who has begun on so far has got off to the right foot on spring training, but we're unsure whether he will actually make the major league roster opening day. It's kind of not ideal for him to be on the major league roster first day, as you still want him to develop and get some of his bearings down in AAA before you really pull him up to the majors and expect big things out of him. But Christian Scott, who has made major league starts already, and specifically 9 of them already last year, he came up to the Mets major league system and came up to the major league roster as our number 6 prospect. Kept below a 5 ERA. He struggled here and there, but nothing that a young pitcher doesn't experience. And you could see the flashes of greatness that this kid has. His fastball had some major zip on it. At around 97 miles an hour, had crazy life to it, and it was really exciting to see what he could do for this pitching staff. And unfortunately, his season was cut short. He had to get surgery, and we haven't. He right now he is pronounced out for this entire season still, which is a little fishy to me because it's only before spring training, and this kid has just begun throwing on a program, and that's a lot of time for a guy to come back in this season. I could really see Christian, coming hopefully, and coming, making some minor league starts in July maybe, or in June in fact, and then hopefully maybe coming back in like September-ish. I mean, look, I have had my fair share experiences with Christian Scott, over the years, and have, very nice conversations with him. I hope to encounter him soon again, and I will ask him personally, what he thinks about, still being pronounced out for the 2025 season. I don't really believe it, honestly, and I think that we could possibly see a push, especially if we're still going to need reinforcements, which we are going to talk about in the next segment. If we're going to still be needing reinforcements at the deadline, or even after that, going into the dog days of September. um, we have a lot of injuries right now that we're dealing with, but this pitching staff was built for depth, and that is what we got right now. But we would love to see all the as much youth pitchers coming up and being able to make an impact as quickly as possible. As you see here in these headlines, Nolan McLean will pitch in his Grapefruit League game today, or whether that was yesterday, I think. Um, was considered a two-way player for the most part. I think now they are kind of more focusing on him just being a pitcher at this point in time. So you can see Nolan McLean basically on the mound for most of his career now, as he's kind of taken a direction at that. But he did make his Grapefruit League debut. He was in Double A for all of last year, so you could definitely see him making the jump to Triple A this year and possibly making his major league debut along with Brandon Sproat. And then another guy to be looking at is Jonah Tong, who flew through Single A, flew through Double A, and now he's a headliner for the Prospect Showcase that's coming up this weekend. This is a guy that's been flying through our minor league systems and has showed dominance in every single level that he's played so far. Really watch out for this kid to come out of nowhere and make an impact. He has some crazy stuff for a reliever. He's made starts too, but his the way he pitches and his stuff screams reliever, screams closer potential. I'm super. Everyone who pays attention to Mets minor league baseball is super excited about this kid. Um, but taking putting this all together now, it's good to see the youth coming back to life, especially with the pitching staff, because a lot of the vets are starting to get banged up. Guys like Sean Manaea, who's out with an oblique strain, Frankie Montas, who's going to be out for a month. We're going to need as much youth to be able to come up and fill these spots as much as possible. Obviously, I've talked previously about Kodai Senga having an opt-out after this year, so he could be a free agent. Who knows what's going to happen with that? I mean, I'm not going to make any promises here, but so we need guys to fill spots. Christian Scott, Brandon Sproat, Jonah Tong are great names and have shown flashes of greatness so far, with their time with the Mets. And I'm super excited to hopefully have them on the Major League roster soon. Now, keeping on the topic of pitching, recently brought up on MLB Network, Sandy Alcantara of the Miami Marlins made his debut against the New York Mets this spring and was fantastic. I mean, his sinker was topping out at like 99 miles an hour. Looks like he has lost no type of velocity, power, stuff at all, picking back right where he left off. And, they brought up the topic, John Morsey, Harold Reynolds, Matt Vasgersian, they brought up the topic, while they were talking about Sandy, about being traded at the July trade deadline and how teams are definitely going to be calling all first half of the season about Sandy Alcantara. I mean, you got to think right now, the Yankees, who just lost Garrett Cole, are probably going to be the most desperate team out of all of them to land Sandy. But now with the Mets being banged up, and especially with the starting rotation, you can expect them to make that call, especially with the Marlins being in their division. We've heard names like the Minnesota Twins possibly, especially since this guy has not been paid any big money yet. Small market teams that are loaded with prospects can still afford him at this point in time. If the Minnesota Twins were making a push in that weak AL Central, they could be a team that could land him. And who else knows out west at all of what they think, if they would want Sandy at all. But it's going to be Mets and Yankees like it always is for any big time player, any big time free agent. Harold Reynolds thinks a deal is going to be done before opening day. That is a wild comment. I'm not gonna take that for granted. I'm gonna take that with the largest grain of salt possible. But I mean, hey, wild things can happen in baseball. We all know that. Do I think the Mets would make a deal for him right before opening day? I don't think so. I really think David Stearns trusts this pitching staff, especially if Kodai Senga is going to be healthy all year long. He's going to, rely on him to be that ace, and hopefully Brandon Sproat can come up, middle of the year and make his MLB debut. Sean Manaea to be back probably 15 to 20 days after opening day. So I don't think David Stearns is going to jump on anything too quickly just yet, especially if you were to trade for a guy like Sandy Alcantara. You would have to pretty much pay him an extension either during the season or after this season. And I'm not sure if David Stearns really wants to do that at this point in time, especially with, worrying about Juan Soto's contract. He just paid Pete Alonso. They are way over what they wanted to pay, team payroll wise. Steve Cohen has expressed how, not unhappy, but, a little worrisome about being way over the luxury tax that he was originally expecting. And so I would think that if a deal were to happen with the Mets and Sandy Alcantara, it would happen at the deadline, where if we were struggling getting arms and getting starts out of certain guys, then a call would be made. But right now, I would expect the most desperate team to land him would be the New York Yankees. As we know, they just lost Garrett Cole, who has to get Tommy John surgery. But if he sits there a while, the Mets could easily be a team that comes in and scoops him as a rental, and maybe they just let him walk whenever he becomes a free agent. But something interesting to take into account, because the Mets were brought up in this conversation that you see here on MLB Network. Of course, the Yankees were as well, the Baltimore Orioles too. All contending teams that would need an arm at some point in time. So we really don't know. Will a deal be done before opening day? That would be wild, to say the least. I mean, especially for a guy like this. But I mean, look, the Marlins are the Marlins. They're constantly rebuilding. They're constantly trading their top guys. It wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. They would get a huge haul for him, no doubt about it. So, we'll see what they do. But let me know in the comments what you guys think about all this. Should the Mets trade for Sandy Alcantara at this point in time? I really don't think so. But let me know in the comments. Do you think Christian Scott's going to come back this year? I think pronouncing him out for the year is just like this pillow tactic that the Mets are using, just so that they don't put any large expectations on him to come back this season. I really think that he will be in minor league games making rehab starts, in the summertime. We'll see what happens. But let me know in the comments what you guys think about this and all of our young pitchers. And I will see you guys in the next video. Have a great day, everybody.